All right, so back. I'm gonna be going live with Sarmiento here in just a moment.
How's everybody doing today? So I'm just kind of waiting for Harris Sarmiento to come in here. As kind of mentioned a moment ago, Harris actually had, I would say, a lot of fights for a fighter, as you would see today. You know, Harris had about 62 fights over 12, 13 years. So he spanned a lot of them. I'm well, Christina. How are you? I'm just trying to get Harris on here right quick. Waiting for him to jump on. Francisco, how's it going? Yes, indeed. What's Harris known for? Well, I mean, fought many, many times. Like I was saying earlier, I think Harris had about 62 fights over maybe 12, 13 years. Fought a lot of guys that you know about. You know, guys like Nick Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Josh Thompson, KJ Noons. Fought a lot of good fighters. Roger Huerta. Just many good fighters. And also a lot of guys from Hawaii, a lot of the better fighters from Hawaii as well. So he's a guy that's been around, and I'm just waiting for him to drop in here. I think maybe I'll send it to him right quick since it can't. Okay. Let me get him in here. Harris, what's up, man? I sent you the invite, so you can just accept it. If you're having trouble accepting it, you can request to join at the bottom. Okay. Hold on just a second. I have to wait for it to clear, and then I'll bring you in. Okay. All right. Should let you accept it now. No, his name's Harris Sarmiento. He's from Oahu. Harris, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, so I'm bringing Harris Sarmiento in here. Harris is kind of from, I would say, my era when I first found it. You know, when I found MMA on Oahu. This is a guy who's had a lot of fights. Even for anybody who's fighting today, Harris had, more fights than most MMA fighters would have. And for anyone who's watching that's not familiar with you, maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit.
My name is Harris Sarmiento. Pretty much been fighting since 2001, 2002 around there. I've been in the game for a while. Still training, still in the game, but not fighting.
You might want to come closer to your phone or something. I think that's why it's hard to hear you.
Yeah. Let me put it louder.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I'll let you move to another location there. Oh, you're in your gym, huh?
Yeah, I'm at the hybrid house, just hanging out, still done working out.
Yeah. So
How
let's
you
kind of
doing?
talk about, when you first started. Who was it you first started with?
I actually got into to fighting with my friend back in Kanyang, Korinkan. It's a Kaji Kembo school. Well, just basic stuff, and then maybe about 8, 10 months after high school, then I had my first fight. I was only training boxing, and yeah, that's how it started.
But did you start with like boxing and kickboxing, or did you start MMA right out?
Well, when I was in high school, I was playing football. So after football season, senior year, I just started boxing, with friends in Wabanalo Boxing Club, and pretty much I that was my background, just straight boxing. And then I did a little bit of kickboxing, Kaju Kambu, maybe about 10 months in, and then that's when I just got into it. Had my first fight from there.
Now, how many like boxing, kickboxing fights did you have before you started MMA?
I didn't have any kickboxing, no background. I just straight to professional.
To
Force
professional
fight.
UFC?
Yeah, straight. Yeah, MMA professional to force fighting championship. It was the first cage ever in Oahu at the place there was. Yeah.
Now, what was like the first when you crossed over in MMA? When did you first start training at like a MMA team, so to speak?
Well, after my first fight, I fought one of my teammates, Tristan Feliciano, and he was with 808 Fight Factory at that time. Well, after the fight, we kind of became good friends, and he told us, "Oh, come out train with us." So I started training with them maybe 3 times a week, and then that's when pretty much I decided to just stay with the 808 team, and that's how my career began from there.
Was that when they were at Powerhouse?
No, this is what it's like in Waipahu, back in the old Jesus Lord gym, because Jesus Lord and 808 Fight Factory was together and then shared in the same gym. We would work out 3 times a week, and then they would half.
The wrestling room?
What is that?
The wrestling room? I know they were using that at one
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. The wrestling room, the little area in the hood.
Did you know those guys before you joined the team or no?
I only knew Tristan and Kai Kamaka. Kai Kamaka told us to come out and train, and yeah, pretty much that's how everything started from there. Me and Eddie Balu kind of just drove there every day and just started training with them.
Yeah, and Ed was also a pretty competitive fighter too. So was he
Yeah,
part of it also?
yeah, pretty much from day one. Me and him kind of started training from day one, ever since from the beginning. So yeah.
Now, Jesus Lord and 808, had they split already, or was it?
Well, oh, they were split already. So we would have the Monday, Wednesday, and I think Friday was, and then they would have the Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So we would have on the gym.
And what was that like training with Ron? And was Bozo there still or no?
No, that was all with Jesus Lord them. But me, Ron, Nico, John Chrysostomos, Jamal Perkins, all the old school 808 guys, Dana Balyani, all them guys. And then me, the first time, me and Ed kind of got beat up going in there. Like every day we'll get beat up, and we just keep going.
But what was it like training with Ron? I mean, Ron was real experienced, obviously. He was one of the first guys.
Man, Ron is a real good guy. He's a lot of inspiration for me growing up. Watching him to all his career. Just he's really a good guy. He's a good friend. I love the guy. I mean, he kind of mentored me throughout my career. I mean, I'm really close to him. Like from the beginning, like I never had anybody to look after with. Like Ron was the guy. He was such a good guy.
Now, I was kind of talking before you came on. You had a lot of fights, obviously. Um, was it by design that you just wanted to fight all the time, or is that just kind of how it happened?
Um, I don't know. In my beginning of my career, I was kind of like, for my first fight, I mean, the feeling alone was awesome. Like I just felt like, oh, I kind of want to fight again. So I did. I didn't do too good, but I just love that feeling. Like competitive and being in there. And pretty much it just happened. Like I didn't really plan it. I was stupid. I wasn't really like looking up for my records, looking up for my career. Like I didn't even know all this because I was new to the game. Like they didn't have like um, commission, so you could just fight like pretty much the second day. So I mean, I was kind of stupid at the same time. I should have looked, like look my fights and kind of train more instead of just keep fighting and fighting.
Hmm. Now, I mean, I think like the first fight, the first guy you fought that a lot of people know was probably Nick Diaz, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The second fight was no, the third fight was Nick Diaz. Well, that was kind of stupid because I was just a replacement, and I didn't know that guy. I just wanted to get in there and get on to fight in, so I just would try him out, but I got beat up.
What do you remember? What do you recall about that fight?
I mean, I didn't know Nick Diaz, but a lot of the guys said he had a really, really good ground game. So my game plan was to keep it standing, and I actually did good in a stand up, and I just didn't have a good, wrestling defense, takedown defense, and he kept taking me down, mounting me, and and I ended up getting ticket. Oh, he had me on the mount and kind of punched me in my eye with his tongue, and I had a fucking fat eye, and I couldn't see to my left side. So I ended up stepping the fight on there.
But is it kind of wild looking back on? I mean, Nick Diaz he wasn't even known by many people at all outside of maybe California at that time.
Nah, man, I think he was just up and comer at that. I think that was his like seventh fight. I think. Yeah, he was undefeated. He was strictly all jiu-jitsu style back then. He didn't have no stand up, so a lot of his fights was pretty much taking your opponent down and submitting you. But man, he was the real deal.
And then, we're kind of talking about some of your fights, I know you've had so many, but maybe talk about maybe as your career was going on, maybe kind of take us through that, some of the things you remember.
I don't know. I think my third fight, yeah, my fourth fight because I lost like my last three. I mean, my first three fight I lost pretty much, and I told myself like, oh, I lose this first fourth fight, then I'm out. I'm gonna retire already. So, and I did that fourth fight, and I won. I liked it. And second week, I mean, yeah, second week I fought again, and then from there on, I just kind of racking up my wins, and I just kept fighting like either boxing, kickboxing, stayed busy in the MMA scene. And we also had the Godzilla More event. Um, I don't know if you remember the Godzilla More back then.
Yeah.
So we used to run that show before. We used to put up the ring every Saturday, and pretty much we used to like match meet everyone. And I was just a backup like who didn't have any fights, and I would just jump in, fill in for. anyone, you know. So I'll be fighting maybe about 4 or 5 fights a night in there, you know. Just having fun, you know. It's good fun. At the same time, I stayed busy out there, you know, just doing boxing, kickboxing, MMA, and then I wasn't really serious when I got into like a bigger circuit, like in the mainland. You know, that's when I kind of start turning like real serious. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I just quit fighting all over.
So maybe like let's talk about maybe the first big mainland show that was like a high point for you in fighting.
Was I think so was me and Gilbert Menendez was the Frank Shamrock versus Gracie fight. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
think that was yeah, I think that was like one of my biggest event I ever did in the mainland. And then when it walked out of the crowd, it was look at the whole stadium was just kind of crazy, you know. But
So Strike Force,
uh,
right?
yeah, it was a strike force. That was awesome feeling, you know. It was real good feeling being in that big event.
Now, were you originally from Waimanalo or Waipahu?
I'm actually from Kanyoy.
Oh, Kaneohe.
Yeah, so I grew up in Kanyoy and pretty much I just travel everywhere just to get a good workout, you know.
So you were making a little bit of a drive to go over to 808.
Pretty much, um, because I worked down that side too that time, so I kind of after work I straight to the gym, sleep on the car, rest a little bit, and train.
Now let's kind of talk about when you fought in WEC because I know you fought in WEC also. You know,
Yeah.
how many fights do
So,
you have in this promotion?
uh, yeah, like couple fights against Razor Rob McCullough. The first fight we had was pretty good. You know, chopped me down pretty good, and then ended up getting the unanimous decision. And second fight, we fought again actually, and pretty much he ended up winning that fight. I mean, it was a really good event. He was actually the champion back then. After after he lost, I lost. Yeah.
But I mean, looking back on it, you were part of a lot of pretty important events in the sport's growth, whether it be Strike Force, WEC, or back on Oahu fighting, Blaisdell and whatnot. What was maybe some of the high points for you?
Um, I think when I started fighting in a PXC circuit, I mean, because I grew up in I was born in the Philippines, and a lot of my fight fans is from the Philippines, and that's kind of changed my whole mindset of I just want to fight in this high level of competition. But at the same time, it was hard because it was champion, and everyone wants to want to kick my ass, and it was hard getting motivated for a championship fight every time, But that was like my highlight of my career.
Why was it hard for you to get motivated, you think?
I don't know. I just every fight is always different, Like you gotta get something to motivate you to keep pushing yourself. Sometimes, like. But for me, it was the fight alone, man. It's when you're in a high level of fighting, and then everybody wants to get you. You gotta kind of find something to push you harder. It's just hard sometimes if you don't have anybody to like push you harder. At the same time, that time too, like my team was had a lot of drama. And, everybody was leaving. So it was hard for me to like, I didn't have any training partners that time too.
Maybe talk about, what has changed since then, because I know the fight scene right now is it's not what it was necessarily. How much
Yeah, it's big difference, man. Like back then, it's just old school, you know. Like you just freaking run on your own, freaking train on your own, and stuff like that. And nowadays, you have everything. Like you have strength and condition, you have like all kind of crazy conditioning stuff going on, you know. It's just so different nowadays, you know. So I mean, you can make you can make freaking living out of fighting nowadays. Before you couldn't do that, you know.
But what I mean is on Oahu, it's almost like it's gone backwards a little bit, don't you think?
No, I don't think so. I think it's moving forward, you know, just because the training alone, you know, like
Oh,
a
okay.
lot of like, you know, like for me, like as a coach, also then pretty much always tell my guys, you gotta do it right this time, you know, don't, you know, because I learned to my mistake, you know, you just wanna just do it, fight, whatever, but you know, do it right, you know, pick your own fight, you know, pick that fight, that right fight.
But I mean, there's not as many events, though, right? As there were back when
Oh
you
yeah,
could fight a lot.
yeah, there were, but I guess like because of the COVID stuff happening, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because, when Super Brawl was kind of like, and had, there wasn't something, after Super Brawl, Rumble on the Rock was pretty big too.
Yeah,
And yet, so it's kind of been where something has replaced that yet at the same level.
yeah. I mean, so far nobody replaced it yet. You know, I mean, back then it was just unbelievably like packed every fight. You know, nowadays it's just I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Now, you're part of like Hit Squad now. Is that like a new spot or?
It's just like I haven't been in social media for almost like freaking 6 years. You know, so I just started my Instagram again this year, and just because well, his squad is actually just me, my niece and my nephew, and then my dog is started. Just for something for the gym for the kids. Start training and then suddenly I just start posting all this fight videos and stuff like that. So everybody wants to start training with me. So now, and his squad is like the whole crew.
Now, where is that training happening?
I mean, that's all the hybrid house pretty much. Like it's a hybrid house team. His squad is just like, just me, my and the kids. I train with.
But the team where you're training, because you're there right now, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At the hybrid house.
Where's that?
It's in Kailua. It's actually just Kaleo gym hybrid house. Kaleo.
Cleo.
Um, yeah. From day one, he, yeah, when he opened the gym, he asked me if he could, help him run it. So I'm like, oh yeah. So I kind of helped him out, and we're still going.
Now, did you know all those guys like Kaleo and some of these East Sider guys? Did you know them all when you were younger or no?
I knew Kaleo because I fought him. I fought him a couple times actually. I fought Kaleo, and then from there we became good friends, and we started training together and stuff like that.
Is it kind of wild to see what kind of happened with like Mike Butenbaugh and whatnot? How are people reacting to that?
I don't know. I know them guys good, and just I don't know. I don't really care about this stuff,
No, I
you know.
mean
But
from an MMA perspective, where guys like, damn, were they shocked that that stuff happened or not really?
oh yeah, yeah. I was kind of shocked, but I knew what's happening, But it just that sucks.
Yeah. Now I got Christina here. She's saying, "What do you think was the highlight of all your career so far?"
I think winning the PXC title. Um, pretty much that was like pretty much my highlight right there. You know, just the feeling alone. You know, being in your hometown in your in the Philippines. You know, I was born in the Philippines. You know, and pretty much winning a title in there. You know, a lot of my families was really proud of me. And then when I went back to my hometown in Ilocos, they had a little parade for me. Jaime Marquez, one of the top governors in Ilocos, made a parade for me. So I was kind of like tripping out. Like, what?
What part are you from there in
Uh,
Locos?
Lanas Negras, Ilocos Norte.
Yeah, my wife is from Karasi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, her brother was the mayor of Karasi, and I think her sister-in-law is now the mayor of Karasi.
Nice. That's awesome.
But I met her on Oahu, but she's from
Yeah.
Karasi. How long did you live in the Philippines before you moved?
I think when I was 6 or 7 years old, when I moved here, and I, yeah, I grew up down this side. It was hard growing up in Oahu, man. There were a lot of racist people. I used to get into a lot of fights.
Yeah, because you're from the Philippines. I was going to ask you that. Was there some kind of like, how you have like Samoans, Tongans,
Yeah,
those Micronesians? Was as you growing up, were you going into a lot of was there a lot of, beef
yeah,
going on?
yeah. I hated growing up here, especially because I couldn't, speak English, and
Hmm.
everybody used to pick on me, and then pretty much I used to get taxed every day with some of these Hawaiians, picking on me, and I don't know. I used to get into a lot of fights a lot because I didn't like fucking everybody fucking with me, and then hanging out with the wrong crowd, getting into a lot of fights, getting into trouble, stuff like that, and I hated. I didn't have anybody like I didn't know how to play sports. All I knew was just how to fight. Because everybody used to fight it. They pick on me. So
Did that continue all the way through high school, pretty much, or no?
um, not really. From when I got into to high school in Kailua, I started playing football, and I kind of like the feeling that having a family, a second family, a team, because something that I didn't have that before, like I'm from the locals, I didn't play this sport before, like I didn't know anything about sports, and then started playing football, gave me like, a second family, and I loved it, and I didn't do too good, but I just trained hard, I trained hard for every game, but yeah.
What do you miss most? I mean, you had a lot of fights. I keep coming back to that. You had 62 fights, I think, which is a lot more than most people have in their whole career. What do you miss the most about it?
Oh, I think I just miss the feeling of getting in there and just getting punched in the face, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I just miss that feeling of, raising your hand inside, everybody cheering for you. Yeah, that you could never have that feeling ever, Feeling is awesome.
Now, what made you decide after the 60-second fight to not compete?
I don't know, I just had too much, it was just too much happening in the gym, and 808 top team with my management, with my coaches, my teammates. It was just too much for me, I had to kind of split. I had to split in the gym and then just kind of do my own thing,
Oh, kind of
And
like family bickering or something?
yeah, yeah, I just had to just do my own thing because it was just too much for me, just way too much for me. So I just kind of just stopped it, there's too much dramas. So I'm
Yeah, it's
gonna
kind
stay
of
away
funny
from.
when I think about it. Like Jesus Lord, you had Ray there, Ron there, Bozo there. If they had stayed together, who knows what they could have done.
Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah. Like after I left the team, I actually got better, because I was training everywhere. I just kind of concentrated on my jujitsu, and then did a lot of Muay Thai, boxing, and then I kind of focused more on myself, and actually I got better. And at the same time, my conditioning got worse. But yeah, still sparring and stuff like that, helping a lot of the fighters.
So as far as like Christina's asking, what are you doing to stay involved? Is it mostly training people at hybrid house? Is that kind of how you're staying involved?
Um, Pretty much training a lot of fighters. I have a lot of friends that compete, so I go to the gym a lot. I do personals and I run some classes. And I have a lot of fighters that always getting ready for fight. They always come check me out. To help them out, get ready. I'm good for everything. I can spar for them. I can hold mitts. I can roll. And stuff like that. So it's good. They kind of come to me every time.
Is there anybody else there with you besides Kaleo and you that's involved with that gym?
Well, so far, yeah, me and Kaleo. Kaleo is pretty much the main guy, kind of take care of all the kids and stuff. And we also have like strengthening conditioning with loyalty. So we have all kind of stuff going on, and we got the kids with the guy Justin, the boxer, and we have a bunch of coaches that helps out a lot over here, like Levi, um, Aliko.
Yeah, so she's kind of asking. I know you said you kind of had trouble being motivated from fight to fight, but was it just kind of the act of fighting or the scene of fighting? Is that what motivated you? Because you did say you had sometimes where you weren't necessarily motivated.
Yeah, I don't know, like for me, I need something to motivate me. Before, like the fight motivated me a lot. Like I had a dream, to fight in a big event, like ONE FC, UFC. That's the one that kind of motivate me, And after that long layoff, it's like, fuck, I don't know if I can compete with this high level, fucking, I've been out of the game for so long. Like, I don't know if I can keep up, I'm a bit older now. So that's why it's hard to get that motivation.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? Are you still kind of following the fight game much, or
What
like
was
you
that?
see events, or
Sorry.
are you still following like the UFC events and whatnot?
Yeah, pretty much. Watch UFC every day, so yeah. So keep up with all the fighters and stuff.
Like, what do you think of what you're seeing now?
Oh man, it's so high, and the level of fighting is different. You know, it's like they're going back to standing up, and it's not like all ground, all ground. Now it's all about mixing it up. It's just different nowadays. You gotta have conditioning. I think the biggest factor is the condition in every fight.
Now, who are some fighters that you pay attention to the most?
Of course, Max. Max is a. I was just had a good session with Max last night. And then that's the first time I sparred with him since we fought. Uh, Before he went to the UFC. And I got to spar with him last night, and I was gonna. Last night I was just thinking like, oh shit, I gotta go with Max again. Like in my head, like, oh shit, I don't know if I can keep up with the champ. And I actually did good. So far, so good. I did good with Max, and I feel like I still got it, but just my conditioning is like I gotta work more conditioning. I gotta start running stuff.
Yeah. Where did you spar Max? Was it Hybrid House or was it Gracie Technics? Or?
At Elite, so usually on Wednesdays you have team sparring there. So I've been sparring there a lot on Wednesdays, helping a lot of the fighters do their rounds. Like, there's a lot of the Hawaii team Hawaii trained there, and a lot of it are on the top levels of fighters. So I get some good rounds with everyone.
Yeah, you have like Hawaii Elite. Where's Hawaii Elite at? Because I think that popped up after I left.
Hawaii Elite is in Waipahu. It's like close by the old 808 Fight Factory. So it's like real close by, right behind Susie's, I think, in Waipahu. Yeah.
And it's kind of blown up over the years as far as people.
Yeah, pretty much. Russell, Russell Lewis, Charles. I mean, they're one of the first guys that started that gym. And pretty much that's all my teammates from back in 808. So we actually have a really, really good relation with them. So I take a lot of my fighters to train there, and when they get ready, we kind of cross train together a lot. So yeah.
Someone who fought Max, sparred with Max, from your personal like vantage point, why do you think he's been as successful as he has?
I don't know, man. He just smacks. He's just a different breed. I don't know.
But do you think it's because of his strong points being maybe like he has more stamina or more will, or what do you think stands out to you having competed against him and that whatnot?
I don't know. His level of fighting is just out there. He's just different. He's top level fighter. That's
Mhm.
why they call him the champ. And his conditioning, his everything is there. He's doing everything right. Whatever he's doing it right.
Yeah, because he's had crazy longevity,
Yeah,
which I keep coming back to. Like you had a lot of fights, he's had a lot of fights, fought for a long time, but he hasn't tapered off really, which is
true.
kind of unique.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. He's still young. I mean, freaking, like he's only like freaking not even 30s, in his 30s, I think. But yeah, he's still young. He have a lot of years to come.
Yeah. When did you feel like you were starting to lose the motivation as far as training went? What age?
Um, right now I'm 38, maybe about I don't know, maybe about when I was going through my dramas with my ex, then I started to kind of lose the feeling of fighting, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the kind of big.
Physically, did it ever feel like physically, I don't want to do this?
Yeah, I just kind of felt like I just maybe just concentrate like in life, my life. I just want to concentrate whatever I want to do. So yeah, that's it.
Now, as we're kind of winding down the interview, I was always like, let people maybe, if there's a message they wanted to leave on or something they wanted to tell people watching this,
Um, I just
maybe your experiences, what you think is important, maybe for fighters.
I just gotta say, you gotta keep trading, like do it right, try not to take like last minute fights. There's a lot of these new fighters coming up. They're just taking fights because they just want to get in there. You gotta do it right, you know, especially nowadays because you can make money off of fighting. So I mean, for this young generation, I just want to say you gotta do it right this time.
Now, if people wanted to train with you, where would they find these gyms that you're training people at? Like a con.
Yeah, you can actually come check me out at Hybrid House. I'm here pretty much every day, and then I'm also at Kailua Gracie. I do some MMA classes there, run some jiu-jitsu classes, and yep, I'm here. So check me out.
And obviously, they can follow you on hit underscore
Uh,
squad. Is that what it is?
yes, that's it.
Yeah. Well, Harris, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I appreciate. I can't do these kind of interviews without people like you that would do them. And it's always
I
great. I always like talking to people that were around, like in the early days. Because that was a special time, I think.
Yeah. All right on. Thank you for having me. Awesome.
Yeah, and for anybody who's interested, you can follow Harris at hit underscore squad. And if you have any questions for him or anything, I know Christina had a few for you.
Right
Um,
on. Thanks.
I appreciate you taking the time. It was great talking to you.
For sure. Right on. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Aloha.
Aloha.